He sat alone in his car after midnight, hands tight on the steering wheel, heart beating heavy, eyes burning with pain he could not explain. The woman he loved walked away without looking back. Not angry, not loud, just gone. He whispered into the dark, "God, why did you let me love the wrong person?" He prayed before he loved, he trusted before he was ready. And still, his heart broke. Every song hurts now. Every road feels empty. Every night feels too long. He leans forward, forehead on the steering wheel, breath shaking, trying not to cry. His name was Daniel. He was not famous, not rich, just a young man trying to live right. He worked long days, walked home tired, and talked to God in small, honest prayers every night. He didn't use big words. He just said what his heart felt and trusted God was listening. One evening, his life changed without warning. He met her in a simple place, a normal moment, but her smile felt like light entering a dark room. He didn't plan it. He didn't chase it. It just happened. He went home thinking about her. He prayed and said, "God, if this is not from you, remove it." But his heart was already running ahead of his prayer. They started talking, then meeting, then dreaming. She laughed easily. He felt important when she listened. For the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel invisible. But small warnings came quietly. She didn't care about the things he prayed for. She didn't understand why faith mattered. She loved fast living. He loved slow meaning. His heart felt uneasy, but he called it fear and ignored it. Love is loud. Wisdom is quiet. So he followed love. He changed little parts of himself to keep her happy. He skipped prayers to answer her calls. He stayed out late when his heart wanted rest. He told himself it was love, but deep inside he felt himself slowly disappearing. At first, it felt sweet. Then it felt heavy. Small fights became long silence. He tried harder. He loved deeper. He gave more. But love should not steal your peace. One night, she looked at him and said, "I don't think we are meant to last." Her voice was calm, but his heart broke loud. He didn't beg. He didn't shout. He just nodded like a man who already knew. After she left, the room felt bigger, quieter. Colder. He sat on the bed staring at the wall, trying to understand how something that felt like God's gift became his deepest wound. That night, Daniel didn't ask God for another love. He asked one question that came from deep pain. "Why did you let me love the wrong person first?" Daniel woke the next morning feeling the same emptiness. He went through his routine mechanically, coffee in hand, head down, heart still heavy. Every familiar place felt different, as if the world had shifted, but he hadn't. He tried to pray, but the words stuck in his throat. He wanted answers, not comfort. He wanted understanding, not silence. He thought about all the moments that had seemed perfect. The walks, the laughs, the late-night talks. He remembered how he had felt alive when she was near. How he had planned his future around her smile. How every small detail of his life had somehow revolved around her. But now, he was alone, carrying memories that hurt more than silence ever could. Daniel's friends tried to reach him, inviting him out, asking him to forget and move on. He smiled faintly, thanked them, and declined. He wasn't ready. He didn't want distractions. He wanted clarity. He wanted to understand God's plan for letting him love the wrong person first. The days passed slowly. Daniel began noticing small things. The sunrise hitting his window just right. The quiet hum of the city waking up. The smell of coffee that used to remind him of her. He realized that life hadn't stopped, even though his heart had. He realized that God was still moving, even if Daniel couldn't see the bigger picture. He felt a flicker of hope that maybe this pain was not the end, but a beginning. He started journaling, writing every thought, fear, and unanswered question. He poured out his heart to God in ink. And slowly, he felt some weight lift. Daniel realized that God doesn't waste pain. He doesn't give heartbreak for nothing. Every experience, even the wrong love, was shaping him, teaching patience, teaching self-worth, teaching how to trust God even when the heart aches. He began to whisper a prayer, not for love, but for understanding, for strength, for faith to grow in the quiet moments. He didn't know what tomorrow held, but he felt God's presence in the stillness, reminding him that even broken hearts are part of his story. Daniel started to see that loving the wrong person first wasn't the end. It was preparation. It was shaping his heart to recognize the right love when it came. And slowly, but surely, he began to feel ready to trust again. Weeks passed, and Daniel began to notice small changes within himself. He was quieter, more reflective, more aware of the choices he made in love and life. Each morning he woke, he carried the memory of her, not with bitterness, but as a lesson. He realized that heartbreak had forced him to face his own heart, his own desires, and the parts of himself he had ignored while chasing someone else. He started walking alone more often, letting the city streets and empty paths become his sanctuary. He noticed how peaceful solitude could be when he chose it willingly. He began to pray not for her, but for clarity, for healing, for guidance. He realized that God's plan was unfolding quietly, through lessons he hadn't wanted to learn. Daniel reflected on how much he had given himself to someone who didn't share his values, how much of his peace he had sacrificed to hold on to a love that was never meant to last. He understood that loving the wrong person first had taught him to recognize what real love looks like: patient, kind, and aligned with God's purpose. He began to journal his thoughts, writing down fears he had ignored, thoughts he had overlooked, and prayers he had whispered silently in the dark. He realized that pain wasn't wasted. It was forming strength. He was learning patience, trust, forgiveness, and self-respect. He could see now that the heart that hurt the most was also the heart being prepared for something far better. One evening, Daniel looked at the sunset and felt a quiet peace. He whispered to God, "Thank you for letting me love the wrong person first. Thank you for shaping me for what is coming." He finally understood that even heartbreak could be a blessing when God was teaching the heart to wait and trust. In that stillness, Daniel realized the first love was never wasted. It was preparation. It was the shaping of his heart. So when the right person came, he would recognize them, treasure them, and walk in peace. Months went by, and Daniel began noticing a quiet strength growing inside him. He no longer rushed into anything. He no longer measured love by excitement or longing. He had learned to pause, reflect, and listen. He understood that rushing after the wrong person had only left him empty, while waiting and learning had filled him with wisdom. Daniel began helping others who were hurting. He shared small pieces of his story quietly, not as a sermon, but as a witness to God's gentle work in broken hearts. He realized that his pain had value beyond himself. It could guide someone else, comfort someone else, show them that heartbreak is not the end of the story. He also began to notice the little things that brought him joy. The soft sound of rain against his window, coffee steam rising in the morning, walks through empty streets at dusk. He realized that life still held beauty, even when love had failed. He was learning to trust God with the unseen future and the quiet moments of his present. One night, Daniel sat on his rooftop, looking at the city lights, feeling a calm that had once seemed impossible. He whispered a prayer. "God, thank you for teaching me to wait. Thank you for shaping my heart. Thank you for the lessons I didn't understand at first." He felt the ache of his first love still there, but it no longer controlled him. He had learned that sometimes God lets us love the wrong person first so we can learn patience, discernment, and self-respect. Daniel realized that every heartbreak had been a step toward maturity. He no longer feared the pain of love. He understood that God's timing was perfect, and that the lessons of the past were preparing him for the love he had been waiting for all along. Daniel woke one morning with a quiet sense of peace he hadn't felt in months. The heartbreak that once felt like a storm inside him had softened into a gentle current, teaching him patience, faith, and self-worth. He no longer measured his days by missing her, but by noticing God's hand guiding him through the small moments of life. He reflected on how loving the wrong person first had shaped him. He had learned boundaries. He had learned to value his peace. He had learned that love is not just a feeling, but a choice aligned with God's plan. He smiled quietly to himself, realizing that even pain can become preparation. Daniel began to trust God in a deeper way. He understood that sometimes God allows heartbreak to show us what is truly valuable, what is worth waiting for, and what love should never cost. He no longer rushed. He no longer settled. He waited with hope, trusting God to lead him to someone who would honor both his heart and his faith. And in the stillness of those moments, Daniel whispered a prayer. Thank you, God, for using the wrong love to teach me the right lessons. Thank you for shaping my heart for what's to come. He felt a warmth spread through him, a quiet confidence that the right love would come, not hurried, not forced, but at the perfect time. If you are hurting today, remember that God sees your pain. Every heartbreak is a lesson, preparing you for a love that aligns with His plan. Be patient, trust the process, and know that even the wrong loves have a purpose in shaping the heart that God is still working on. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to pause and reflect on your own journey of love and faith. Share this video with someone who needs hope today, so they can remember that heartbreak is not the end, but part of God's plan. Comment below with your story of learning through love. Your words might encourage someone else to trust God's timing. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you never miss a story that uplifts your faith and strengthens your heart.